Welcome to Chef's Special. Today we've got Executive Chef of the Regatta Hotel, Simon Street, joining us to cook some lovely beef. Simon,
Thanks,
welcome.
Sean. Great to be here. Thanks for
What are
having
we
us.
going to be doing?
We're going to do a spiced up striploin,
Lovely.
serve it with a lightly pickled salad, really fresh, zingy, and basically just get away from the typical, gravy and potato type dish that you'd have at home.
Sounds fantastic. So look at this beef, 150 day, grain fed. I know that it just won the open class at the Royal Queensland Food and Wine Show. So really, we're talking the best of the best here.
Absolutely, I'm a massive fan. Marble scored 2+, that's what we say in the business. We see that beautiful intramuscular fat on it. It eats beautifully, and it's a great cut of beef to cook at home, being a single muscle, the striploin. And it's one of my favourite cuts as well because it's got a bit of fat on it.
So for people at home, what are the things that they're looking for when they want to choose a piece of beef to cook on the grill?
I guess with this striploin in particular, we're looking for a nice sort of fat coverage across the top, nice sort of fat layer. And we're looking for that, as I said, sort of intramuscular fat. That's going to melt down, render down when we cook, and it's going to obviously enhance the steak, give it flavour, and keep it moist as well.
So is this one of your favourite cuts?
It is. We feature it at the restaurant, and it's eating beautifully and has done for a while, and it's a great product.
It's a very, very consistent product. For our guests out there, do they need to get this cut at the butcher, or is it something they can do themselves?
I'd certainly recommend it. The butchers are there for that reason. Pop down to your butcher, have a chat with them. They'll cut it at different sizes for you.
Sure.
They've normally got the edge on that than doing it at home.
So what's our first step, Chef, with our beef?
So first step is very important. Obviously, we get it out of the fridge ahead of time. So we've had that out. You sort of want your steak out for a minimum of half an hour, losing that fridge chill. And we're sort of at that point now, and we'll season it up and basically get a bit of a dry rub on it.
So are we doing that? Why are we pulling it out of the fridge?
That's just to help even cooking.
So there's a hot tip. Make sure that you pull the beef out of the fridge, give it half an hour to 40 minutes, just to come up to room temperature to really help that cooking process.
Absolutely.
Chef, what are we on to now?
Spice it up here. So this is our Ras Hanout that we've got. It's a Lebanese inspired spice. Beautiful sort of cardamom, turmeric, paprika, nutmeg, those sort of flavours. Really adds another level. So we're basically just going to season quite liberally like we would salt or pepper all over the side of the meat. We'll also hit it with a bit of salt and pepper as well at this point, just to get that going. So we use a little bit less pepper than we would salt because pepper tends to burn. And once we've done that liberally, we'll sort of pat it all in and I guess turn over and repeat on both sides.
Lovely. All right, so Chef, I see we're putting on a fair bit of spice here.
Absolutely.
Is that a normal thing you would do?
And like salt, pepper, spice, all that stuff helps develop crust. So yeah, we put quite a liberal amount on there just to sort of help develop that deep crust when we sear it.
Fantastic.
And it's all flavour as well, which is obviously important.
Yeah.
So both sides of the steak as well is epically important. And we just give that, as I said, a bit of a dry rub now, and we'll let that dry marinate sort of until we're ready to cook.
So I can see also here, Chef, that the first two steaks that we've marinated are already starting to absorb those flavours.
Absolutely.
This is not so dry anymore, and that's only a minute or so.
Absolutely, and obviously the salt as well is sort of a dry brining type method as well, which is very good for steaks, season slightly before you're going to use it.
So that's probably the key then to making sure that you season in advance.
Absolutely, yeah. At least sort of 5 to 10 minutes before you're going to cook it is perfect, yeah.
All right, so our beef is seasoned. We've got our grill on. Time to make our salad?
Absolutely. We'll crack on with a pickled tomato salad.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
We'll start off, I guess, just with a pickling, really simple pickling liquid. So we've got some red wine vinegar here. Got about 200 mils. Let's throw that into a bowl over there, and we've just got some salt and some sugar. So really simple. We go a bit heavier on the sugar, about 60 grams to that sort of 200 mil. And just some very fine salt as well. So
it's a fairly similar quantity of each?
Yeah, probably a bit less of the salt, just to sort of balance it out so it's not too salty. We'll just give that a quick little dissolve there, and we'll reserve that to the side just while we prep up our vegetables as well.
Okay, Chef. All right, so next step, cutting some veggies.
Absolutely, so we've got these beautiful little heirloom tomatoes that we'll just cut up depending on the size of them. So, I like to leave some whole. When we've got really small ones like this, we'll just pop them straight into the pickle brine like that. And then some of the bigger ones, I like to cut them up into different shapes as well. So we'll sort of do rounds, halves, whatever we feel like, I guess, at the end of the day. And it adds some different texture and dynamic to the salad. These beautiful colours as well, they all sort of come through.
Local produce, you know, we're so lucky here in Queensland. You know, we've got the Lockyer Valley on our doorstep, the scenic rim. So we're going to put some of this onion in here as well, Chef?
We'll fine slice that red onion as well, that'll be great.
So this is a cold pickle, Chef, so we're not cooking this one.
Absolutely, yeah. So like I like to call it just a really quick pickle, basically. Yep. It's you know, something we throw together, it does the job, it adds flavour and another level.
That's looking great, Chef.
So we've got some thicker sort of slices of the cucumber we'll throw in there as well. And we just sort of plonk all that in and leave that to the side. We'll give it a little bit of a mix up as well. And you'll see all those beautiful veggies will start wilting down and softening as they pickle.
So about 10 minutes, Chef, you want to let that
that's all
absorb those flavours and tick along?
Absolutely, and that'll give us enough time to sear off our beef and bring the rest of the dish together. We've got these that have come up to room temperature now, as we said. We'll hit it with a bit of oil just on the meat. I prefer to oil the meat as opposed to our cooking surface. Yep. And we'll just sort of pat that in as well.
Is there a reason for that, Chef?
Yeah, look, I find putting it on a cooking or a hot surface changes the flavour of oil. I prefer to oil the meat or the protein and let that sort of hit the grill as opposed to the other way around. So we've got them oiled. Now what we're going to do, something different with this cut, we'll start rendering that fat down. That's going to be the biggest challenge, is getting that editable. So what we'll do is we'll get that ready, and by doing that, we just throw it on the grill sort of standing up that way. You can do they sort of rest on themselves.
Yep.
And sometimes you need to use the tongs, I guess, to sort of hold it.
And smell those spices already.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so that's just cooking off a little bit of that fat, starting to render down.
You'll see all that fat start leaching out now.
So normally, Chef, in this stage, you know, you look at how long are we looking?
Look, just a couple of minutes. I think it depends on how thick it is. We've got, you know, reasonably good coverage of fat here, so you can see here already we're getting some sort of melting Maillard reaction here on the fat. So we'll give it sort of another minute or so on that, and then we'll look at using this really hot part of our grill to sear both sides, the flesh side of it, and that'll caramelise quite quickly with the spice as well. All right, so they're nicely rendered now. You'll be able to see they've got some beautiful colour, and we're just going to start searing now all the flesh. Yep. So see, we want ripping hot sort of surface. That's what we'll always go for there. So we're really looking for that. I keep drawing back to, I guess, the Maillard reaction that I call it, where you really want to see that caramelisation on the meat. That's what builds the flavour, and the spice rub that we've got on it is going to really help it crust up and get, you know, pretty gnarly as well in terms of deep, rich colour. So you're looking to get almost immediately. It's starting then.
So we want that crust, and then on the inside, nice and juicy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, sealing everything in.
We've also got a little bit of that beef fat here from the rendered that we can obviously incorporate into the steak.
I can tell you that the smells coming off the grill, we've got the smokiness from the Ras Hanout. It's a little bit of spice, and those deep, rich caramelised beef flavours are really starting to pop.
And we'll give these a flip now, so we've got some gnarly sort of caramelisation there.
So at the Regatta, Chef, on a busy week, how many steaks do you think would go through your kitchen?
Oh, absolutely. So on a busy week, we're sort of doing around 2,500 steaks.
Yeah, so if anybody knows how to cook a piece of meat, you're the man.
Absolutely. We've got about 16 cuts on the menu as well, so you can imagine the grill at the Regatta, it gets pretty hectic in there, that's for sure.
Fantastic.
So while they're resting, we'll look at getting some flatbreads on as well, which will be a bit of a garnish and a bit of a textural element to our salad.
So Simon, we're going to give the steaks a bit of a flash back onto the hot plate.
Absolutely.
Then we'll plate up.
We'll bring them up to our desired temperature. Like I said, I like to eat about medium rare. So we'll get all these steaks back on. They've rested now for, you know, a good sort of time. That'll release all the juices slowly. And that'll give us time as well just to finish off our plating and, you know, make it as carefree as possible. So
okay. So good tip there for the home cooks. Whilst this is back on the grill, you want to start putting your salad together. So what do you think, Simon? Are they ready to go?
They're good to go. So we've done the resting, we've done all the cooking. we'll get ready to slice these up and finish our dish. So
That looks really good.
So we'll just slice it into sort of 3 or 4, depending the size of the steak.
Look at that. Beautiful.
So we got a nice sort of hue, and we'll just sort of garnish our platter around. Yeah, so medium to medium rare, you know, beautiful, still blushing. We've got sort of some nice pink hues coming through the meat. So we've got like a beautiful blushing piece of meat here, well rested. You'll see it's quite evenly cooked, and you've got that beautiful moisture still inside the steak.
And really, chef, to get the most out of a piece of beef like this, you don't really want to be cooking it too much more than this, do you?
No, you definitely don't. It'll just dry out, and you'll sort of lose that flavour and toughness as well. So once we're happy with sort of how much we've got on there, depending on how many people we're feeding, it's ready just for probably a bit of parsley garnish just to finish off, and that also adds a nice sort of freshness and earthy notes to it. We'll just sort of tear that. We don't even worry about chopping it because we want it to be quite fresh.
Yep.
And that's our sort of upper market flavour-packed barbecue.
Looks amazing. How good is this, chef? Fantastic. I can't wait to get into it. A couple of beers. We've got Slipstream Tropical Ale. You know, they've won the People's Choice Awards at the Royal Beer Awards. Fantastic. Let's get into it.
Cheers. Delicious.